So, Gilberto, we've just watched Chelsea versus LAFC, and I think we both found it quite fascinating, the role of Cucurella and what his role exactly was in the game and how that tactically set up. So I'm keen to get your thoughts on that.
You know, he starts from the back, sometimes come a little bit in the center, but pass the ball, but suddenly just spin up front, you know, being like a kind of third man in the midfield behind, be sometime on the same line of Cole Palmer at some stage, you know, because they have Caicedo and Lavia be more holding players where allows him to move forward, you know. As you see, for example, Caicedo and Lavia here, the back four, James here on the right, but he gets the ball from here, for example, pass and just spinning here, where we have Jackson here, Palmer as a free hole. I'm just gonna put Palmer here because he was just fine, and sometimes Cucurella here, the same line of him, sometimes a bit deeper. What for me allows Cucurella to do this, because stay here, they stay at least with 5 players here, because James not many times came forward.
Yeah.
Cucurella was here, James stay here, they make sure they have like at least 3 guys at the back, plus the 2 midfielders where they could sometime just make a little bit of pressure here in case the ball go over them. You know, they have at least 3 at the back, and for them to come back and make the recovery here and close the midfield again. This was part of his game, you know, get the ball and go straight. Sometimes it works, sometimes my perception, he was a little bit trying to find himself in the space, because he has to be, you know, with his back to the defenders. It's not a position as easy and comfortable for him, because he's used to watch the game from, you know, from his position, come forward to assess the guys in front of him.
And we've got a great clip of that here. So I'm really keen to get some more of your thoughts, specifically on this clip and how that interaction happened, and you see him carry the ball here initially, but then making that run through the midfield and ultimately ending up as the highest player.
Yeah, you know, he just control the ball and the pass ball to one of the defenders. They start to, but once he done that, he just went forward trying to find the space for him. But I think this was their strategy for this game, especially because they kept the center back, the midfield, and James. James stayed very comfortable here. He just a few times he came close to cross the ball, not many times. You know, he's standing still most of the game. He stayed on the field.
We can see, though, additionally, that defensive role that he had as well. So I think we both discussed how challenging that is as a player to go from a fullback position into a very advanced attacking position to, in transitions, having to cover that space. How do they handle that and recover? I'm really interested to get your thoughts, especially with the use of Caicedo and with the use of Lavia.
He was doing so many runs, especially in the recovery, in the few opportunities that LAFC has had the counter-attack. The lack of him and also for Chelsea, because in the final pass, you know, for the counter-attack, they missed the chance. But, you know, he has to come out, you know, to attack, try to find himself up front, and then come back. But I think listen, it was quite comfortable for them, even though he has to make these long runs, because basically they play with the 3 center-backs. James at some point became a center-back, the number 3, and having Caicedo and Lavia to protect the center of their field, you know, and occupying the space and give him this freedom to, let's try and make this work.
So the big change that they made at halftime was Enzo Fernández coming on, and ultimately had an impact on Cucurella and where he played first and foremost, but then obviously gave Chelsea a different picture.
It was interesting because even though before, you know, he has to make the run into defender when they didn't have the ball, but in the second half, what happened? They changed Lavia for Enzo, and Enzo starting here at some stage, When at some points of the game, in the moments he come a little bit wider here, just not too much, but a bit in here. And Cucurella, got the ball and became like a number 6 or number 8, but on the side of Caicedo, doing basically what Lavia was doing. But the difference between him and Lavia, because he has the perception, he's more, he's a kind of player who likes to pass forward, Lavia was more centralized on the side of Caicedo, be like a holding player, protecting the team, around here, especially when Cucurella went forward. But Cucurella could, I think, see the game as, is better for him. In a zone where he can start as a fullback, get the ball, play on, and come here, become a central midfield. But when they lost the ball, he immediately become a fullback again, and Enzo drops a little bit to fill the gap in the middle. And the interesting thing was the movements, as we spoke, was the moment of the goal. We see the perception of the player who is used to play the position. Cucurella did so many good runs and sometimes, trying to find himself in the space. But when Enzo came on, this position here for him, to cover, come here, come a bit on the side, come in the middle, and sometimes assess the guys up front is very common for him. And then in the moments when there was a cross for Chelsea, they got the ball, passed the ball here to Delap. Yeah. With a good cross. But Enzo was just here on this, was interesting because he started just running slowly, just make his move, and suddenly he was on the side of the central midfield. The ball came here. In the moment he just collected the ball, he made a sprint behind the defender that could not see him. The central midfield was close, but he was faster, got the ball, control, a good control, and a nice goal score.
And one of the things we talked about during the game with regards to that is that player's ability to sense those moments, and that player's ability to read the picture, see the image, and make good decisions. And I think we've got the exact clip of the goal here that the best shows that.
As you can see, as they are building up, we call a great movement from the lob, get the ball, and then Enzo just sprinting here. In the last moment he sprints. But if you see, pay attention to Enzo before, the build up again. Malo Gusto, Palma, and the lap was just here between two defenders. But his movement is so important. But in the moment it starts in there, Enzo is just here. He starts making the movement. When he got the ball and starts sprints. Boom. And the control was a great cross, by the way. But his movement, is a kind of movement from midfielders where they have the perception, oh, the ball is going to come. Let's make the penetration, because the center back cannot see me. He's occupied with somebody else. He just sprint in front of the central midfielder that could not stop him.
And ultimately, we have to give the coach good credit for making that switch at half time, because ultimately it paid off and got them the second goal and cemented that win.
Yeah, of course we have to give him the credit. I think it was great. I think it worked well. I was expecting more actions around the box. In the first half they had a good start, but the second hour, now it's going to have.
Amazing. I think that's great insight, Gilberto. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pleasure.